All right. Hi, Penny. Thanks so much for joining me. Thank you for becoming one of my first speakers for Mother's Month. So, you know that Mother's Day is on the 10th of May, right? So that's a few weeks away. Yay!
Yay.
And I thought instead of just celebrating Mother's Day on just one day, why don't we make it Mother's Month in May? And I had this great idea of interviewing, inspiring, and empowering moms like you. And so you're the first person that I've actually thought about because when I first thought about starting my business, you were the first person that I talked to. And you were super supportive and you were so excited for me. You said, let's catch up. And then we went for a walk with Josh and I had Ari and Lexi, and I think Brian was there too. And you gave me lots of tips and strategies and you were just super supportive and empowering. And then you also lent me one of your books. I think that was The Chillpreneur by Denise Duffield Thomas. I read that and it was such a cool book because it's just all about progress, not perfection, and just creating, the life that you want and just, the tiny steps that actually really matter. So that's the reason why I'm interviewing you, because I find you so inspiring. So the first time I met you, we were doing a pregnancy yoga class at Golden Yogi in Takapuna. I don't remember how many weeks pregnant I was because I have twins, but I think you may have only been like 20 something weeks. Do you remember? Yeah.
Yeah, probably about that. I think it was when I couldn't go outside on the bike anymore. I was like, I need to do something.
Yeah. So you just you were like this ball of energy and this pregnancy yoga.
Literally a ball.
A ball of energy, yeah. And I remember I was like always so tired and sleepy, and then we do this round thing where we have to check in and kind of say what our energy level is from 1 to 10, like 10 being like really energetic and 1 just wanting to sleep. And I think I always say like 4 or 5, and then you're always like, I'm an 8, I'm a 9, I'm smashing it, and I'm like, who is this woman? I just remember thinking, oh wow, like that's just amazing. And you always talk about, you just went to the gym and you're like smashing it like in your business and you're doing this, you're doing that, and then everyone's like, oh my god, we're just so tired. So and then we became really good friends because we still keep in touch and hang out, and you've been one of my biggest supporters for my business, so I really appreciate it. And I think one of the hallmark of a great woman is someone who empower other women, and I think you're definitely that person. And I just cannot believe that you wrote a book. You wrote a book when Josh was, well, when did you start? I guess that's a good
I started laying the structure out for it in late December, early January. So he was born in September, so that's October, November, December. He was 3 months old.
Okay, he was 3 months old and you started writing a book. That's crazy. I think when my kids were 3 months old, I was still like unconscious or some, I don't know, whatever.
You had 2 of them, right? So that's a big difference.
Oh my gosh. Anyway, so I'm just going to read this little blurb about you so we know who you are. So Penny Elliott is the founder of pennycelliott.com, helping female entrepreneurs get momentum in their businesses to have the life and business they deserve. The sharpshooting Kiwi gives dark advice that motivates and inspires women to reach for a higher version of themselves. Published in over 30 publications worldwide, she also loves to be outside, pushing herself in triathlon and running, completing 18 Ironmans, including the world champs, and over 40 marathons, all while being a wife and mom to her son and crazy Bengal cat. And you didn't mention that your crazy Bengal cat is called Missy as well, right?
It has caused quite a bit of confusion in our little chat group.
That my cat, confusion. I always have to clarify that I didn't do certain things.
Especially when my cat goes missing for 5 days. It's not Missy the person missing for 5 days, it's Missy the cat missing.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So you are just such a power force. You're all over the place. Like you're just doing triathlons, marathons, you're juggling having a business and having a baby. I mean, Josh is 19 months old, right? So just my first question will be, how do you manage to do everything?
Yeah, some days I don't feel like I do everything. So please, if you're watching this right now, don't think, oh, I don't want to listen to her. She's making me feel bad. I really try and use every minute I can. My grandmother, who is a massive guiding spirit for me now, as she's not here anymore. Well, she is. She's right here with us. See, look, she's always there with me. She just said, see it all, dear. And to me, that has meant don't muck around with things that are just not important to what your goals and what you want to achieve, right? So, for example, I used this example a couple of weeks ago before lockdown started. I get up and go swimming in the ocean, and I used to do it 3 mornings a week. I now only manage twice a week, and most people I swim with get up, get out of their pajamas, get into clothes, and drive down the road. Then when they get there, they have to get out of the car, take their clothes off, and put their wetsuit on, and then get in the water, right? Sounds normal. But time is something you never, ever, ever get back. Never. You never get time back. So for me, I get up and get straight into my wetsuit, right? So I've saved myself, I don't know, 8 minutes of like this changing clothes regime. But if you add all those 8-minute blocks up over the day, that's 8 more minutes I get to stay in bed, right? And sleep. That's 8 more minutes I can read my book the night before so that I still get 8 hours sleep. That means I'm reading like 6 more pages than other people that have mucked around putting on clothes and then taking clothes off.
Right.
So it's just those little bits that I guess they're kind of like little life hacks, but like those little things make a massive difference. For example, an ex-boyfriend of mine who's a lovely guy, Nick Kensington, look him up if you want to on Instagram to have a good laugh because he's hilarious. He used to get the tube to work, and when we lived in London, and he got 3 sets of tubes. Now he would always get on the tube where the gate on the carriage at the beginning where it would stop to get off and go out the tunnel to the next tube. And doing that saved him like 10 minutes every commute. Instead of getting on one that was like closest to him or closest to where he walked up the stairs the first time, and then having to wait to go through the snail and down the tunnel, right, with all the other hundreds of people. So it's just little things like that I think is the way that I get so much done. Right. I try and combine as many things as possible. So if I go for a run in the morning, I am not listening to music. I'm listening to podcasts or audiobooks or something like that. That's actually inspiring me, giving me ideas, and educating me at the same time. People who listen to the radio generally earn, I heard this great stat, radio listeners or music listeners generally earn about 20 or 30,000. This is American stat. People who listen to podcasts or audiobooks are all over $120,000 a year earners.
Wow.
Right? Which would you rather be?
Definitely the podcast or audiobook. Listening.
Right, yeah. And the other thing is, so that's like another way that, I try and aim to read 25 books a year, and people are like, how do you find time? Because I go for a run for an hour every day. That's an hour of listening every day, right? I put it on 1.25 or 1.5 so that I can cut down the time. And people are like, oh, I can't retain it. I can't retain it. You do. Your brain is a lot faster than you actually realize. That's why people can speed read, right? It's something you train yourself to do.
Yeah.
What else? Oh, things like cooking dinner or making a cake. Like I love to make birthday cakes for people or treats or whatever. I don't just stand there in my apron like baking a cake thinking with my head spaced out, right? I've got my laptop sitting there and I'm watching some webinar or something about business or something about cooking or something that's going to educate me, right? Like no time wasted. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And do you think that philosophy has changed since you had Josh?
Yeah, 100%. You can't make them be quiet to listen to the podcast. I'm like, shh, I've got something on. And then this morning, like prime example, I had a call from 8 till 9:30 that is part of a transformational coaching program that I'm part of. And he was trying to pull my AirPod out of my ear, right? And like, I'm like, no, you can't run away with that, because if you do, it stops going. and yeah, and it was a bit of a nightmare, really. And I had to finish school by going for a run, so that he was like in the buggy, one couldn't touch me, AirPods. But there you go, there's like 3 things in one. So, but I think that the shift, definitely, and especially being a new mum, that changing schedule was it just did my head in. It was really, really one of the hardest things for me, because I think, oh, I've got like an hour now that I can go and do something, and then he'd only wanted to sleep for 15 minutes. Right. And then 4 weeks later, it's like a change of schedule, and now I don't have that hour. So
you never know with a kid, right?
Yeah. So that makes your little chunks of time so much more important, right? Because if you are making 8 minutes, 5 minutes here, that means that, like, theoretically, you could have a bit longer.
So in terms of planning for your day, like, do you think about it the night before in terms of what you want to achieve for the next day? Like, how do you make sure that you're not wasting the time that you do have, and making sure that it's intentional and, productive?
Wow, like the politically correct answer would be to say, oh, on Sunday night, on the night before, I write it all down, what I want to do tomorrow. But you know what? I don't. And I'm going to be really obvious, really honest and open. And I want to tell you guys, the behind the scenes, because I love going to other people's houses. I don't know about you. And
I do.
Around, and you're like,
so
oh, God, I didn't know they like that art. Oh, wow. What have they got hanging up in their toilet? Like, I really am. Oh my God, really? Yeah, I just love it. I love it. So I have one of these diaries. Like, I'm a real written person. I tried to be electronic, especially when I had Josh. That was one big thing. I was like, right, I just have my phone and I've got everything. But you know what? I just love writing stuff down. So I have these 90-day goal planners, which is really beautiful. But if I sit down and write out like my 5 things for the next day, the night before, I find that my brain just starts going,
right, and then you can't relax.
I need to do this. I need to do this. Oh my God, I need to do this as well, and I can't relax. So for me, it's actually not I've got that out on paper. It's like I need to get up at like 4 a.m. to get all that done, and like hope like Harley sleeps for 3 hours at lunch. So I plan out like what my must-dos are, like the calls and Josh's activities and things like that. And my training, I plan that out in the week on a Sunday. I like doing that, or otherwise I get up early on a Monday morning and I do an hour with a coffee before Josh gets up. But the day-to-day stuff, there's like the non-negotiables, like my coaching calls with my clients. Client work comes top of mind, and then obviously with you, like outreach, and being visible. That's my second most important thing. And then anything after that's just like a bonus, really. I did try and have, when I went from non-mother to mother, and I thought you'd probably tell the story about how like everyone was talking about their birth plan. I don't know, maybe you'd already had the twins by then, but everyone was talking about their birth plan and like hypnobirthing. I still have no idea what that is, FYI. And every time I think about it, I think of like a hippopotamus having a baby. And so it always makes me laugh.
Yeah.
And then there's like all these like, I want to have a pool, I want to have it home. Like, I'll be open and transparent, ladies. I had a planned cesarean because I am petrified of the pain and I absolutely hate being out of control, right? So 2 things that I really had to like lose once I had Josh, because like nothing is in control. And so my birth plan was to go in on the Friday and have my operation with Josh and have him. And then I said, I hope that there's Wi-Fi in birth care because I've got lots of things to get done.
I think I remembered you saying that to us, as with the yoga group, saying that you're planning to bring your laptop and then planning to do work while you're induced, or not induced, but just waiting for your operation. And,
I fell asleep, so that didn't really work. And I did take my laptop with me, but there was no Wi-Fi. And my husband was really, really sick, so he actually slept in the bed in birth care while I like set up nursing. It's just not like getting a kitten, is it? So
no.
And it's quite hard work to nurse and type, like to hold. I did manage it, but it's quite hard work.
Yeah, because you talked about control and like losing control. So what do you think is the biggest challenge of being a mother for you? Would you think it would be that?
Yeah, that and identity. Identity was massive, right? So I want to say I love my kid, right? And like out of all of the mums from our yoga group, I was the most like hardcore, and everyone was just like, "Oh my god, that kid is never going to get any love." And I think I'm the last. Oh, there's one other, but I think I'm like one of the people that has their child the least in childcare out of all of us now, and I'm like the most active mom out there, and I'm like taking him to every class under the sun, and like I'm in every group, and like I'm like total mom. So I just want to pretext that, okay? But I align having a kid with your life like dying in a car crash, right? Because the life that you had just dies. And for me, it really did feel like death, because I grieved hard for that previous life. Hard, like howling in our walk-in wardrobe with the doors closed, because I didn't want anyone, like no one's home anyway, except for Josh, and he was asleep. But I didn't want the shame of anyone seeing me. And then I kind of take it a step further, because everyone says to you, "Oh, how's it being a new mum? It's like meant to be lovely," and all this sort of stuff. So it was almost like my secret lover had died in a car.
So you
And
can't
I
talk about it with anyone.
Yeah, I couldn't talk to anyone about it, because like you're not meant to have a secret lover, right?
Yeah, it's not.
But I've fucking loved my life. Like I loved that secret lover so hard, and I so wanted to be back there, but I had to put on this pretty face of like, "Oh yeah, it's great. Yeah, you know, the sleep's not so good. Breastfeeding I'm getting better at. You know, oh yeah, it's great." Meanwhile, I was thinking, "Oh, like get me out of here," you know, like take me and Josh but back to how I was, you know. Like my body, my emotions, my hair, how much hair falls out, no one tells you that. My nails, like everyone's like, "Oh, you look so beautiful and bonny." No, what a load of rubbish. Like it was dropping clumps. I was throwing it out the window and watching it blow away. And you know, like I was so tired. I was beating myself up because I couldn't get dinner ready in time, because I had to breastfeed for like an hour and put him down to sleep. You know, I couldn't watch TV like I used to with Scott. I couldn't exercise. You know, like it was just, and I couldn't do stuff in my business like I used to. I just couldn't do anything. And that was the hardest thing for me.
Yeah, it's a lot of sacrifices, and it seems like no one really talk about it, because the societal expectation is that for us to, you know, feel like this is an amazing thing for us to happen, to have a baby. It is amazing to have our kids, but I think it's also important to acknowledge that there is this process of grief and a process of loss, right? You're getting a baby, or two babies in my case, but there's also this massive loss and adjustment that no one talks about. And I wish people, women like you and me, like talk more about it to normalize it, because I think a lot of people go through that grief process and then say, "What's wrong with me? I mean, I've tried IVF like 15 times and I should be loving this life a lot more, or I should love this baby more." You do love the baby. It's just that you also, like you said, you miss your old life, and life will never be the same, right?
Never ever. Never ever. And I was talking to a friend who's just had a baby, and I was like, "Tell me honestly," because you can be honest with me. And she was like, "Yeah, she's a school teacher. She's wanted kids for years and years and years." And she was like, "Don't think I'm a newborn kind of mum. I think I'm like a 3-4-year-old kind of mum." And I was like, "Yeah, I totally get it." I was like, "I totally get it. Like, it sucks." I was like, you know, and I was like, and the thing is, like, it doesn't get better. You just get used to it. Right? You just get used to it. And then you get to the point where you go out without them, and you look in the rearview mirror and you think, "Oh, fuck, I've left him behind." And then you're like, "No, hang on, I'm out and it's okay. You know, he's not here," right? And that, I think when that happened to me, I was like, "Oh, I've adjusted."
Yeah.
And that was months and months and months before I got like that. And I completely agree. I think people should talk about it more. Whenever someone's pregnant and announce it, everyone's like, "Oh, congratulations, it's going to be life-changing." And you've got these rose-tinted glasses on thinking, "Oh, it's going to be life-changing in a good way."
Yeah.
You know, And I really strongly, you know, if I was more down that path, and I think one of the reasons why I really, really wanted to help you and still do is because I would love to see more honesty and more education around this in the antenatal classes.
Definitely.
You know, like there's 6 nights. I mean, I didn't do 6 nights. We went to a Saturday morning express class.
Yeah.
A bit of a disaster anyway. But 6 Tuesday or Thursday nights or whatever for like 2 hours each, all about how to get the baby out. You know, it's coming out. Like if you're pregnant and you're watching this, I'm sorry, like you've got no choice. Like that thing's coming out, right? You don't see people walking around pregnant for like 20 months, right? It's coming out. Don't worry. The doctors have got it covered, right? Your natural instincts, your natural animal instincts will get that baby out, right?
Definitely.
So don't worry about that. What you do need to worry about is like how the car seat works. How does it clip in? How does it unclip? You know, how do you get it out without waking your baby up? Like the change table, don't use that after 3 months. They roll off them, right? Don't put the bouncer thing on the bench, even though everyone from like that was born pre like 1970 will tell you it's a good idea. It's not, right? You know, like Healthline, you need to have that number on speed dial. You need to realize you're going to be going to, Plunkett line, sorry. You need to realize you're going to be going to the doctors a lot, you know, like a lot. So choose one that's really close and has lots of availability. You know, like things like that. That's what, you know, and like you, like when you stop breastfeeding, you're going to go crazy, right?
Hormonal.
For at least 3 or 4 or 5 days, like super crazy. And then like your boobs might still leak milk like 3 months later. Really weird. It does happen. Your hair falls out, massive clumps. Like, don't think you're going crazy. And like all these things should be normalized so that you can actually go, okay, this is normal. I'm still not feeling very well. I think I have postnatal depression, right? Or I have postnatal depletion. And like, I really loved how, you know, Missy brought that to our attention. And like the vitamins and the iron deficiencies and all those sorts of things that you really need to take care of afterwards. Because most people just talk about growing the baby in you. Oh, you're growing a baby. Oh, can I touch your belly? I'm sorry, but that just happens. Like growing the baby on the outside is the hard thing, right? Like you have to get up and do that. Like when it's growing on the inside, it like happens while you're sleeping, while you're walking around. Like it's totally fine. Like it kicks you every now and then. You're like, whoa, hey baby. But on the outside, you have to do everything, right? And that's the stuff that really makes me want to support you and get your message out there. Because I think if people had that, it would be an easier road. Because you normalize it.
Exactly. And I think we need to be more open and honest about the hard part of mothering, right? And it doesn't mean that we're bad moms because we have these feelings. It's normal to have these feelings, you know, as part of the human journey. Being a mom is like one of the most difficult jobs we will ever have. And so it's okay to have all these emotions, including anger and sadness and frustration. And that's fine. Like, it's just, you know, making sure that we're taking care of ourselves, right? And having this open conversation, because as soon as I feel anger, like let's say toward my kids, and then I don't talk about it, then I hide it and I can kind of internalize that, right? Thinking like I'm a bad mom because I have, you know, all these really intense emotions toward my kids. But that's why I love having the support group of the Yogi Bears, you know, like we can just chat and like say, I'm feeling really crap, or oh God, this is like really frustrating. And everyone's just like, oh yeah, I know, like I feel the same way too. And it's just super supportive. And I think it's been like a really important part of my motherhood journey is to have that connection with other moms and being really real rather than just talking about, you know, I don't know, whatever we talk about, but just, the realness of, this journey. I think it's really important. So now that you're a mom, what do you think, or what would you like to say to your mom on Mother's Day?
I think I'd probably just like to say, like, thank you for such a huge sacrifice that you gave me, to give me the best grounding, I guess, I could ever have.
Mm-hmm.
My mum really just, she's a farmer, and she gave up a lot in terms of her relationship with my dad to make sure that I had a really good, even upbringing. She never went to work until my dad left, because she just took me out on the farm and she just did everything with me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I also really admire that my mum has not been my best friend. And before I was a mum, I used to think, oh, I wish she'd come and get her nails done with me. I wish she'd like come to my sports events. I kind of still do, but I wish, like, I looked at other mums, other friends and their mums, and they were like best mates, and I was like, oh, I wish I had that kind of connection with my mum. But actually, my mum has brought me up to be really like self-sufficient, and
Definitely.
And just go for whatever I wanted to go for. And that doesn't come from being my best friend. That comes from setting boundaries and raising me to be the best adult and young woman that I could have been. And that, I think, is really important. Now that I'm a mother, I see Josh get away with blue murder with his dad. Like, he'll do a bath with him and it takes like 3 times as long because he's like running around with no nappy on and screaming around the house, and like and like he cries when he has to have his hair brushed, and he like thrashes his legs around trying to get in his pajamas, and like it's a total ordeal. And that's because Scott tries to let him do things, whatever he wants to do, because he thinks that that's the nice thing to do, and like Josh will love him more because he's like the cool parent, right? But when I do the bath, I'm like, get your butt in the bath. You have to wash yourself. And obviously we have fun in the bath. I'm not like super strict, but I definitely I'm like, it's 5:40, you need to get in the bath, right? Otherwise you're going to get tired, and then we hit the world of pain. And then I'm like, sit there, brush your hair, and then it just has to happen. Here, you use the brush, do it yourself, and I try and empower him, and I know in myself that he will still love me, and he'll probably love me just as much, especially when he gets older, because he'll know that I've tried to empower him and raise him to be the best young adult, especially in this world with like Me Too and like everything that's happening. Like raising young men is actually going to be harder than raising young women now. And I want to be someone that he can come to and ask for proper advice. And so like when I say to him, what do you say when I give him a lolly or something, and he says ta, I'm like, yeah, that's good. Because I want to install all those beliefs, and that's what I want to say thank you to my mum for on Mother's Day, is for not being my best friend, but being my mum and parenting me to be the best version I can be of myself. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. Oh, that's a great Mother's Day message. So on the other hand, like, how do you want to be remembered by Josh?
I would like to be remembered by Josh. Oh, that's a good one. I'm probably going to be that mum that like goes to like everything. They're like, who's that dancing in the corner? And I'll be like, keep going, son.
You're embarrassing me.
Yeah. No, I really want Josh to remember me as someone that led by example, someone that was fun and adventurous, and took him to really broaden his mind in lots of different things. So, I mean, I love triathlon and running, and I would love it if he would do Ironman, if we could do Ironman Kona one day together, like not actually together, but like in the race at the same time. I'd be in my 60s and he'd be in his 20s. That'd be so cool. But if he doesn't want to do that, that's totally fine. Like, I take him to lots of different things to broaden his horizon. So I want him to remember me as someone that was pioneering, led by example, and mainly just kind and caring.
Yeah, and you are all of those things. You're already an amazing mom. Like, look at how much you've done in the space of 19 months of his life, like writing a book and just having the successful business. And I guess the thing that I do want to share with you, which I haven't shared with you before, is your book, which I really appreciate, is that, you know, I haven't really read too many business books, but out of all the ones that I have read, they haven't really talked about self-care and self-care routine and how important it is, whereas you put that first in the beginning. Yeah. And I think that's really cool to see, you know, just you can have a successful business, but also having that foundation of good self-care, you know, getting good sleep and exercising and, you know, getting good nutrition as well. So as a mom, what's your self-care routine? And do you have anything in particular that you do when you're having a hard day with Josh as well? Just to, you know, relax a little bit.
To relax a little bit. Okay, so if I'm okay, so one thing that everyone said to me was like, oh, Kiss could buy a shower when I was pregnant. And I was like, what? There is no way in hell I'm giving up a shower. I was like, that is like, to me, that is a primary right to be clean.
Yeah.
Right. I was not going to be in my pajamas all day. I was just like, okay, I can shower in 3 minutes. I went to boarding school. A shower does not have to be like some luxurious thing that, one, wastes water, because I'm a bit of a greenie, so we don't want to be doing that. And two, a shower is about being clean, right? So I made it a golden rule that I would have a shower no matter what every single day. And I can tell you, for 19 months, much like the other 40 years of my life, I've had a shower every day, right? So that was my number one rule. And I remember I had this peppermint face scrub. And I remember I was so tired, ladies. I was so tired that I would put this peppermint face scrub on my face and I'd smell the peppermint. I'd be like, oh my God, I think I'm awake. And then I ran out of that. And then, like, I don't know, last month I bought the same scrub again. I scrubbed up my face. I was like, oh, I can't wait for this feeling again. And I was like, oh, no feeling, right? Because I was so tired way back then that just even peppermint made me like, oh my God, awake. Yeah. So number one, always have a shower, please. Number two, always brush your teeth, please. Okay, now like non-negotiables. And I find that if I'm losing my shit with Josh, and let's be honest, some days are tougher than others, it's because I'm tired, right? It's because I'm tired. It's not because he's been a little shit. He might be, but they're exploring their emotions. They're exploring like lots of stuff, right? All these connectivities. I mean, you can talk more about this is happening in their brain, and like they're trying to grow, and then they're trying to grow out. You know, like, oh my God, it's just crazy. Like scientifically, I absolutely am fascinated by how he grows, internally and externally. So I need to be a level head for him. Yeah. And if I'm not a level head, it's because I haven't had enough sleep, right? Sleep recharges you no matter what. Like no matter what issue you've got in the world, go to sleep. Yeah. And it will always be better. Always, 100%. Like that is, and sleep is free, right? Sleep is free. So I know that if I can't cope with him, my first self-care is to have some sleep, better sleep, right? Okay. And I really went hard on that when I first started to get full night's sleep. Well, first of all, I got a sleep consultant in when he was 8 weeks old. And I was like, well, this is happening, because I was blessed with a child that didn't want to sleep during the day and woke up every like hour and 20 minutes overnight. And I was like, this is just not happening. I'm not getting to like 3 years old and still not having a night's sleep. Like, I'm sorry. Not happening. So for me, that was the number one thing. So I got a sleep consultant in, and it took months and months, but we got there in the end. And then I started getting 8 hours sleep a night. And I want all you mamas out there, even if your kids are like 13, 14, 15, and you're still waking up tired, I want you to hear this. Even though you're getting 8 hours sleep a night, you probably are not getting into your deep sleep. Okay. And I'm going to like de-science this so that you understand. And if you're not getting into deep sleep, you're not restoring your body and your brain. Yeah. And that's why you wake up the next morning in brain fog. They're like, oh, what day
you need coffee. Yeah.
Yeah, right. And it's because you're not getting into deep sleep. Deep sleep, to be perfect overnight, is 20% of your sleep. So even if you're getting 8 hours sleep and you're still waking up like really tired, it's because you're not getting that hour and 10 minutes of deep sleep. right? And that's so critical. You could only have a 5-hour sleep and still get an hour and 10 minutes of deep sleep, or 20% an hour, and you'll feel recharged. You think of those days where you have to go to the airport really early in the morning and you still manage to like charge through the whole day, right? Because you've had that deep sleep. And when we go from new mama to like medium-sized mama, medium-age mama, is you are still on hyper alert. You don't go into that deep sleep because you're trying to listen for when they wake up, right? And your body never slows down to go into that deep sleep. You do have to actually trick it or reprogram that deep sleep. So I got these, which usually I would be wearing late at night. So these are Swannies. Swanwick, they are, but that's the brand because I quite like them. But they are blue blocking night glasses. And at 7 o'clock when I put him to bed, I put them on.
And
I left them on. Yep. I did that first, and my deep sleep started to come back into rhythm. I then got some CBT oil, which might be a little bit hard at the moment to get into the country, but it's basically hemp oil, but it's a legal version of it. And I had that at night, and my deep sleep started to go up. And then the last thing that I did was have a sauna. The infrared heat actually invigorates your body so that you actually are tired enough to go into a deep sleep. Right. And then once I did that, I started having deep sleep, and honestly, after like 3 nights sleep, I was boom, back to how I normally would be. So yeah, it's really quick. Like, it doesn't take long, right? To get, once you start getting deep sleep, it doesn't take long. And then once you have that then means you can make better nutritional choices, right? So like you don't wake up with coffee and go to bed with wine. You don't need
you don't crave sugar as much.
And you don't need to unwind with a wine, and you don't need to be pepped up with a coffee, although I do love coffee, right? Don't get me wrong. But you don't need it. Then you can make better food choices, right? You don't become carb dependent, like, oh, I'll have that cookie, oh, I'll have that 3 bits of toast and sandwich and another bit of toast and another cookie. You know, you actually feel like eating vegetables, you actually feel like eating meats. It means that you have more energy to feel like going for a walk or a run or a cycle or something for yourself. And it means that you can just have the energy for the day.
What we call the virtuous cycle, right? Like, as long as you kind of keep up the momentum. Wow, look at that, your book, Get Momentum. But having that sleep is definitely foundation for our physical and mental health, right?
100%. And like, I could have said, oh, get up at 5 a.m. and like do yoga for 20 minutes, and then like write in your journal for 15 minutes, and then like drink 3 liters of water and do 25-star jumps, and then like, you know, read the Bible or read your Bible, you know, whatever that is for your education, and then meditate for like 20 minutes. And all of you would have been like, what the fuck? At 5 a.m., I just really hope I'm still asleep, right? So what does it come back to? It comes back to sleep. And once you've had good sleep, you might be able to get up at 6 a.m. and do a few of those things, and then you're like on your way to self-care.
So what time do you get up in the morning now?
Depends on if I'm going training or not. If I'm going training, I need to be back by 7 to feed Josh when he wakes up. So probably like 5:30.
5:30 every day?
No, not every day. Some days I'll get up at like 6:30, and then other days, if I'm tired, I will sleep until 7.
Cool. That sounds great. Because I wake up at 7. I don't wake up at 5. But maybe I should start getting up at 5.
Do you need to? Right?
No, don't need to.
So many people like self-care routines. They're like, or, you know, try and find this pocket to do some journaling. Try and find, you know, try and at night, you know, do your planning. Try and like read a book or sit down and have a cup of tea and stuff like that. Do you know what you need to do is, who gives a shit about the washing? Like, it's still going to be there tomorrow. Who cares? Like, if you've read your book or if you've written in your journal, if you're only getting 5 hours sleep a night, work on sleep first.
Very good advice.
And it's free. You don't have to buy a journal. You don't have to buy a book. You don't have to go to a yoga class. You don't have to like do anything. and just go to sleep.
Yeah, it's free, and you just feel so much better. And I find that when I do have good sleep, then I'm just so much in a better mood. I want to connect more with Arya and Lexi. I want to play with them rather than just kind of like feeling like it's such a drain and such a burden, right? Like, yeah, definitely more alive.
Yeah.
It's what we all need as moms. Anyway, speaking of sleep,
totally.
I know it's getting close to both of our bedtimes, but I know you love
right.
coffee,
I don't mind.
so I'm gonna deliver this to you. Yay, Generosity Coffee. I know that
oh my God, I love it.
You really like the cafe. It's local to us, and I know that they are still delivering during the lockdown, so you'll get one, a big one, because thank you so much for your time, and I really appreciate all the amazing wisdom and advice that you have given us. I really enjoy listening to all your stories, and I think the take-home message for me is A, sleep, B, is that you just, like, use the time that we do have and be intentional about it. That's kind of the two things that I've taken away from the conversation today. So thank you so much, Penny.
No worries at all. I think it's amazing the work that you do, and I kind of like the whole thing that Mother's Day could be like a whole month, because Mother's Day was the last day that I got to sit in bed past 7 o'clock and had a cup of coffee brought to me. So if that could happen more often than just one day a year, that would be pretty ace.
We're going to make it into a national Mother's Month.
So we've had lockdown for a month, so maybe we could have like Mother Sleep-In month.
Mother Sleep-In month, yeah.
Put it to Jacinda, see if she'll go for it.
She totally would. I mean, she's a mom of a toddler herself, so
yeah, exactly.
I'll make that suggestion.
Yeah, you guys all tag her below so that she listens to this and has a suggestion.
Yeah, that's true. I think I will do that.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you, Penny.
No worries.
Okay, good night.